So now moving to item 7, key performance results, and I'd invite Peter Ryan to the table to present this report and to deal with any resulting questions. So Peter, any opening remarks on this report, please? Thank you.
Just a few. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Just to quickly recap on the purpose of this report, it's a high-level overview of the organisation's performance against levels of service to the community, the construction of capital projects, and our financial position. Performance for the month to the end of the month of February is actually surprisingly solid. It's a positive result, even though some targets are slightly below where we want them. We need to take into account that our facilities have been affected, obviously, by COVID. Some of our revenues have been affected by COVID, and of course the project management report will talk in greater detail about the impacts on price escalations and supply chain. To quickly look at the results in general, levels of service to the community at 83.6, looking for 85%, so marginally down, but given the long effects of COVID right through this year and moving through from last year, that's actually a fairly solid result. Now, I will stress this is through to the end of February. Obviously, the situation has moved dramatically since then, and we'll be providing a further update in the next report. But to that point, our mitigations in dealing with COVID and managing our staff and our facilities have been quite solid. Capital projects show a positive result. The watch list projects are 91 against the target 90. So that's quite solid. Again, there will be impacts there. Below this report, it's quite strongly supported by detailed reports from the Project Management Office on capital, which you'll be hearing about from Richard shortly, and from the finance team around the financial position. So there's more detail there if you need to drill in. Capital program planning for the coming year is fine. Back on track. Capital planning for the future years is slightly below where it should be, but there is also quite a bit of time between now and the 1st of May when that target falls due. Finance, we're operating on budget with a surplus. The finance report will talk to that in greater detail. And the capital program spend to approved budget has dropped. That's relatively normal at this time of year and also to be expected given the impacts of COVID. Moving through to the graph on item number 3, service delivery, you can see there that despite COVID impacts all the way through the past 18 months, council service delivery has been solid and consistent right throughout. Again, I'll stress that our steps to deal with the impacts of COVID have played a big role there. There are some unknowns. At this point, the resident survey is due to come to council for an early heads up next month. So we'll have the final pieces of the puzzle for this year's performance will be clearer then. That will cover the overall satisfaction with council and satisfaction against our various services. So that will be factored into next month's result. Just moving to the scattergram, which is the graph showing large circles. I'd just like to spend a quick moment to explain that. I've had a few questions on it. It's essentially, in crude terms, a bang for buck diagram that shows our spend along the bottom axis, overspend and underspend, and our service delivery against the y-axis. Now, what this tells us is both sides of the coin at the same time, because it's possible for a service to be delivering but badly over or underspent, or it could be perfect financially and not delivering. This gives you both sides of the coin. What you'll see there is that the vast majority of council services are clustered around what you might call the sweet spot, in that they're delivering their services as expected and it's set out in the LTP. They're delivering their levels of service and they're doing so on budget. There are a few outliers and they're consistent through the year. Rec and sport has been affected by under recoveries, obviously people not going to the venues. Transport, there's a few things there, mainly about mode share, which is of course a very difficult thing to move. Footpath maintenance and parking. Water supply, these are well known around consumption, loss, backflow and potentially resident satisfaction. and solid waste and recovery has had some issues around recycling, which are also well known to this audience. So that explains the outliers, but I'd stress that the vast majority of services are exactly where they should be. They're delivering, and they're delivering on budget. And the last thing to perhaps draw attention to is item 4.5, which is a graph. This is a high beam, like if you like, into the future of the capital program. So rather than concentrating on the detail of projects or this year, it takes a big view into the future. And you can see the key point here is that the bottom line there showing actual delivery is pretty steady around the 400 mil mark. But the line above it, which is items that council is responsible for delivering, you can see that in the current year we're looking at 489, but in future years it moves up. Now, some of those years may still be affected by what we're experiencing now around COVID impacts. So all I'm stressing there, rather than focusing on detail, is the challenge of the next couple of years around capital, to say that that gap between what we've historically delivered and what we're expecting to deliver out of the things that council is responsible for starts to grow, and we'll need a good plan around that. So look, that's not new news to anybody. It just serves as a reminder that issue is there out over the horizon. We are trying to put more of an over-the-horizon view to these reports. And that really concludes the high-level results. As I said, the Project Management Office and the Finance team have much more detailed reports that will follow straight after this. But the high-level issues are flagged there, and where we have issues, I will stress that where we're not on target, they are relatively close to target under the circumstances. So at that point, I'd be happy to open to questions if you like, Mr. Chair.
Peter, thank you. And I think it's worth reiterating the point that given the exceptional circumstances that we're in with COVID and obvious disruption to various different parts of the business and to supply chains, subcontractors and so on, to have got the results that we've got in this report, even though, as you say, there are a number of results that are just below target in the current exceptional circumstances, actually represents a very positive achievement. So I think just to reiterate that point is very relevant as we move into questions. So who has got questions? Are there any questions on this report? Nothing at this stage. Yanni.
Yeah, thank you. I put through a number of questions around the water supply and the chlorination.
Yes.
Yeah, is there someone able to speak to that, or is that best left to another?
We did pass that on, Yanni. We communicated to staff last night, but I will stress, and I think you may have heard from Leah, all three key staff in that area are at home isolating with COVID. So the best thing I can do is to take the questions as advised and respond to you and the rest of the councillors as soon as we're able to get the technical information you're looking for. It's not a lack of willingness on staff's part. It's just that the expertise lies with people who are sick at home.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Acknowledge that. I think for the issue around the excess water charges, it is pretty critical because the draft annual plan is currently out for consultation, and we have previously asked for an understanding of the scale of the issue around people not being able to check on their excess water use. Likewise, there may be people that wish to make submissions in regards to the exemptions process that we've enabled for that. So, yeah, just to signal that, yeah, I mean, I appreciate staff are away and can't answer it today. Just if we could, at the earliest possible opportunity, get some sense of that, so that we can, if people are making submissions to the draft annual plan, at least they can have some sense of understanding.
I understand.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So we'll get that information outside of the meeting, obviously realising that staff are not available for the reasons stated today.
And obviously, Andrew, our thoughts go out to the staff, and we wish them,
Indeed. Yeah. No, I'm very aware that we've got a number of people that are not able to be part of this meeting today for that reason. So thank you to everybody for their understanding, and we obviously hope people are well and back on board soon. Are there any further questions on this report? Nothing further? All right, so I'm happy in that case then to move the recommendation that we receive the information provided in the report. Jimmy, sorry, did you have a question or your second?
Second, I'm second.
So Jimmy will second, so I'm happy to move this. Jimmy will second. Is there any discussion? All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Anybody against? That's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. So now